There are 5 types of guys that tend to fly under the radar, but create a lot of heartbreak and intimacy for women, especially if these women are looking for a serious relationship. Now, there's thousands of new videos every day on identifying and avoiding toxic narcissists, which I think is great, but far fewer videos on more nuanced situations that still ruin your chances at finding deep love. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing a blueprint for identifying 5 types of guys you're more likely to miss but need to avoid. The qualities or the traits or the blind spots or the red flags, however you want to call them, that I'm about to share with you right now are not a black and white indictment on a human being. This is not a personality that's etched into somebody's consciousness that can never be changed. It is, however, the way some human beings show up. And because this isn't a black and white thing, it's a range, it's very important that, unlike a Cosmo magazine quiz where you can just have a very specific black and white answer that may not really work for you, it's for you to think about, what do you really want in connection with someone? Some of these blind spots that I'll be sharing with you right now are far more painful for you than for other women. So I need you to really pay close attention to your heart. My goal is for you to be able to identify if you're in a connection with someone, either now or in the past, and you're lost as to why it didn't feel good most of the time, then instead of feeling like you're going crazy inside, you can pinpoint a pattern that I've been able to identify after many, many years of helping women find the type of connection they want, and that you find the strength and the clarity to either ask a better question, set a boundary, or move along and not want to reinvent the wheel with someone who may not be interested in changing. Some of the guys you might be connecting with may not just have one, but 2 or 3 or 4 or worse, 5 of these traits. And it's important for you to know that the more of this that are present in the connection that you're having, the less likely it is for this to change. The first type of guy that you'll want to avoid, I'm going to label them for simplicity, and also because this is a heavy subject, with something that you can recall, which is the ambition vacuum. The ambition vacuum is a guy who really is just content not wanting more. He doesn't want a plan. He doesn't want to make a big effort to create the conditions of his life. He doesn't want to better himself. He is happy with what he's getting, and it's almost like he's drifting along a river, and whatever happens is what needs to happen, and he's cool with that. Nothing against that type of guy. Here's my hypothesis. If you're the kind of woman who's watching this, you're learning something about how you can create a connection that's not just a weekend boyfriend, but you want a connection that's emotionally, physically, sexually, intellectually stimulating and a match for you, that you want a guy who wants more, not a guy who's just okay with whatever life brings him. Now, there is a range in this, right? On one end of the spectrum, you're going to have a guy who's just happily floating through life and at the mercy of whatever blows life lands on him. And on the other side of the spectrum, you're going to have a super alpha male who is wanting to conquer the world and not even care who falls in his pursuit of greed. So I'm not talking about that extreme, but I am talking about most women I've connected with seek and prefer a guy who has some level of ambition and a sense of purpose for where he wants to go in life, what his life is about. If you connect with a guy and you really love him, and this guy is really lost as to what he's here to do, that guy, as kind and as generous as he might be, is going to have a lot more challenge in bringing you the clarity and the certainty and the conviction and the long haul that he needs, because he needs to find himself first. The second type of guy that a lot of women get into trouble with is the guy who is chronically confused. Now, a guy who's blatantly toxic and narcissistic, even abusive, is far more likely to be identified. And sometimes that is hard, but it's more likely to be identified than a guy who is maybe kind and generous, but he's confused. He doesn't know what he wants in a relationship. Now, that may not be a problem if you're a teenager trying to find yourself in the world, but if you're a woman in, let's say, middle age, and you know what you want, and you know the type of connection you're seeking, and you know the end goal for you, and he doesn't, then that's going to be a problem. Now, you would say, why would somebody who's that smart and connected and go for a guy who doesn't know what he wants? Simple, for 2 reasons. Number one, because your giving and nurturing nature might see someone who has some good qualities and tell yourself without really recognizing it, this is a project that you can put your hands in. And that after all is said and done, when he really gets to know you, when he gets to connect with you, he'll see, he'll change, he'll be more assertive, he'll want something serious. The challenge with that is typically a projection and it's falling for somebody's future potential versus his current abilities. If you want to find a woman who's highly unhappy in a relationship, find a woman who started the relationship saying he's definitely not where he needs to be, but there's so much potential. The third type of guy you definitely want to avoid is a guy that I label as a boundary debater. Now, again, you would say, well, somebody's infringing on my boundaries. Somebody doesn't like what I have to say about what I need. Why would I be with them? Again, because life is not black and white, because he might be a guy who's charismatic. He might be a guy who is gifted in the bedroom. He might be a guy who is really present and knows how to listen to you. So if a guy creates that atmosphere for you and you haven't had what you want, or worse, you've had the opposite of that, then there's a part of you that's going to want to hold on to someone. This is true for any of the categories. But when you connect with this type of guy, he becomes the captain of the debate team. The moment you say, here's what I need to do this weekend because I need some time to decompress, I need to find myself again, he's going to want to tell you, that's an example, why that's wrong, why you shouldn't want that, why you shouldn't need that, why your boundary goes against him. Now, I'm a firm believer that there's going to be boundaries that each one of you can set might really go against what you deeply most want in a relationship. But when it's not that, and instead of acknowledging that you have needs and that your needs will be expressed in the form of here's what I need to move forward, here's what I can do, here's what I cannot do in intimacy, in a relationship with him, and his reaction is to tell you why that's wrong and why you shouldn't have that need and why his way of looking at life and the world is the correct one, that's going to be a very hard thing to break in a human being. Now, before I share my last two types of guys who are hard sometimes to pinpoint, but destructive for long-term intimacy, if you're a single woman watching this, I would be willing to bet you're not aware of the root cause, not the symptom, why you're still single. And what I've done is I've taken 14 years of helping women in every walk of life to create long-term relationships with men, intimacy and marriages and life partnerships and unions. Do it without the years and years of struggle. I created a quiz you can take in about 60 seconds that will reveal the number one reason you're still single. If you want to participate, all you have to do is go to the first link in the description. You'll see a page that looks like this. Answer a few simple questions, and within 60 seconds, you'll have two things. The answer to the elusive question, why you're still single, and a custom report based on your specific blind spot that will share what is the number one thing you can do today to attract the guy you want in a fraction of the time. Fourth type of guy you want to avoid, and again, it's not black and white, is the Insta boyfriend. Now, Insta boyfriend is a guy that he connects with you, he projects, he might create a strong sense of intensity, and he might just go forward and act as if he's your boyfriend. You don't know him, he doesn't know you, but he's off the apps, he's asking you to be off the apps, he's introducing you to his family, he's talking about future plans with you, week number 1.5. And when that happens, if you are someone who's not connected with someone like him, and I'm not talking about somebody who just wants to move fast, but someone who may be gifted in some way, somebody who is generous, somebody who is passionate, someone who is a great communicator, then you might fall for it. You might say, well, this is what I've been waiting for. What do I have to lose? And here's what you have to lose. Connecting with someone, falling for him, getting attached to him, and then recognizing one day, let's say you metaphorically wake up in a dark alley eating tuna out of a trash can because the guy is completely different from what you imagined originally, but it's too late because you're too attached to him to break away from him. So connecting with someone instantly as a boyfriend, whether it's overt or covert in the way it's being expressed, and he may not be a guy who's planning this thing, but it's still happening, it's equivalent to playing Russian roulette. Yeah, maybe there's 5 chances, nothing will happen, but there's one, there's a bullet in there, and that's the destruction of your emotional well-being for that moment. In this case, in the real life, it's your life. So what you want to do when you connect with someone is have the space to get to know him, to continue dating other men, to ease into the physical contact, not go super strong, to wait before you start meeting his friends, not indefinitely, but not definitely super early in the process, because you want to find out if it's even worth it for both of you. So when a guy comes in and acts as if you're the girlfriend and expects you to be the girlfriend, that's a red flag that might feel in some moments highly validated and exciting, but it's one of the things that can get you into trouble quickly if you don't set the pacing of, I need to wait a little longer. The fifth type of guy that is hard to spot sometimes, especially if you've been coasting in dating, especially if you've connected with lots of dots, guys who just don't do it for you and who feel boring and unexciting. And you connect with this guy who's well read. He speaks 5 languages. He's tall. He's strong. He's charismatic. He reads poetry to you. And he's a thrill seeker. That's the category. Thrill seeking might feel very exciting, might feel very compelling. And again, not all thrill seekers will be a bad partner, but if that's the foundation of what he's seeking in a relationship, he's seeking for that intensity, for that honeymoon period. That's the type of guy that, without being a narcissist, could love bomb you a little bit, could tell you things he doesn't even know, but he feels in the moment and you want to hear and you believe them. He's the type of guy that can, once things are getting closer and more exciting, might go for his next thrill, might go for his next adventure, might decide, hey, I'm moving to Paris, and one day the next, you never even saw it coming, but that's the type of personality he is. If you want to find a quality in a human being that will highly predict the demise of the relationship, is someone who's seeking novelty constantly. And again, there's a range, and not all guys who seek novelty might be bad partners, but if he's seeking that sense of newness consistently, you better believe that he's going to be seeking that in partnership as well. And if you're seeking for some combination of novelty and adventure, but also certainty and maybe a sense of groundedness, that might be too much for him to handle. I'm going to give you a bonus one since you've been watching attentively, and there's definitely more than 5 types of guys you should connect with, but I'm going to give you one more today. And that is what I call the growth avoider. That's the type of guy who doesn't believe in personal development, who doesn't believe in bettering himself, doesn't believe in therapy, doesn't believe in coaching, doesn't believe in I can get help when shit hits the fan and I can't figure it out. If you connect with someone who fundamentally feels like he should be able to do everything on his own, he's so individualistic that he can't get input from somewhere else, and he doesn't have the curiosity, the hunger to better himself. He doesn't like reading, he doesn't like learning, he's just kind of happy with the way things are. Again, nothing against guys who are that way. Most women I've connected with who are ambitious and successful and are investing in their personal growth are going to want a guy who's also open-minded enough to seek help, to want to better himself. Hope this is helpful, useful, insightful. If it is, it would mean the world to me and my channel, because this is how I can grow and reach more women. If you click like and subscribe, and if you want to continue learning how you can attract the guy you want without the need for gimmicks, manipulation, games, or stupid techniques, make sure to watch the next video right here.